All right, everybody, coming at you with a Sunday update video. This is going to be a little different than what I normally do. Normally, I just show everything that I've completed over the weekend, but I figured since I'm getting a little better with video editing that I'll show you where we're starting. This morning, it's currently about 10 o'clock in the morning. I've pulled the black car out of the shop here. Got the Joker car kind of centered up in the shop. I was gonna do it outside, but it was really cold this morning. And then by the time I got the car moved in here, it warmed up, but it's fine to be kind of out of the sunlight and just work in the shop. But today we're gonna be focusing on hopefully finishing all the sanding that needs to be done on this car. I've just got to get all the purple off of the car, and I'm not doing the inner door here. Just got to get the door jambs. I'm going to get this little section here and all the purple that's still on the doors. This fender's pretty much purpleless now. I got to get the front bumper, the rear bumper. I've got the valance up on the shelf here. The hood has got to be sanded down. It doesn't necessarily have to go back down to bare fiberglass, but I've got to get all of the purple that has the metal flake at the bare minimum, maybe get it back down to about here where we had it. This was the original blue, but I want to try to get that done. Again, the front bumper, what's left of the sides, and those inner door jambs. We've already got, like I say, most of the purple off, and I went down to bare metal, as you can see there. I'm not too worried about this section here. I'm probably gonna scuff it. It doesn't have as much paint as the rest of the car, but I am gonna go bare metal all the way across this back piece, which had the honeycomb wrap on it. And it's gonna get the honeycomb wrap again before it's all said and done. And then the only other part that I have to sand, aside from all of that, is the trunk, which is sitting over there. I did make a decision yesterday as I was cleaning up the shop. I actually found that I have about 3/4 of a gallon of the original purple. This is the purple that is on the doors that you can't see very well because it's dusty, but it's also on the dash, it's on the center console. This was the original color I was gonna paint this car, and the reason that I changed it was because I was gonna add a metal flake to the exterior of the car, which is sitting there on top of the paint, and I had a bunch of problems with that metal flake, and so I wound up changing the paint scheme a few times. And then recently I had said I was gonna paint it green. Well, I've decided that since I've got 3/4 of a gallon of that paint, which is enough to paint this car, to just go ahead and do the original color without the metal flake, and then I'm not gonna have any orange peel issues. All the paint inside the car that I painted with that color turned out excellent. It's really good. This is some tape right here, but it's really good. And it'll be the original paint scheme that we were gonna do. I had a lot of people telling me to do that. And so that's what we're gonna do to get this car finished. And then I'm gonna make a decision as to what's happening with this car. I wanna get it completely running and driving, painted, and basically finished. With any project car, you're always gonna have issues and be working on them constantly, but I wanna get it where it's running and driving. And then maybe I might sell this car because I've got big plans for the black car that we'll discuss later at the end of this video. But may or may not sell this car. We'll see. I'm still debating on what I want to do, but I'm leaning more towards selling it again. And the main reason for that is because this car is an automatic car. Now, I know I could convert it to a 5-speed, which would be fine, but it's several $1,000s to do that. I still haven't done anything with the suspension on this car, and I don't think I'm going to. I think maybe I sell it as a running, driving automatic car and let someone else finish the suspension if they want to upgrade it. There's nothing wrong with this suspension, it's just stock. But maybe I'll let that be someone else's decision. But I think that's the plan, is potentially finish this car where it looks good, runs good, drives good, and then sell it, recoup as much money as possible. And then we're gonna build the black car the way we want it, which, like I say, we'll talk about at the end of the day today as I work on this car and finish making decisions as to what I'm doing. I have ordered several $1,000s worth of parts already for this black car. So we are getting it started regardless of whether we sell this car or not. But these cars are very expensive to work on, so freeing up as much money as possible will help finish the other car. But again, I want to get this car finished so that we can see the finished product. I mean, that's what this whole channel was about. But anyway, we're not going to ramble on. I need to get busy if I want to try to get as much of this done as possible. And here in just a second, you'll see the final results. Both cars are back in the shop now. We can conclude this Sunday update video. First, we'll go over what we did to the Joker car today. Basically what I said at the start of this video. I spent the entire day sanding. I didn't get as much sanded as I wanted to. It was taking forever. A lot of this had to be done with a wire wheel, and some of it had to be done with a palm sander. But I got a good bit sanded. I did have a couple of people stop by throughout the day, so I had some distractions and wasn't able to just stay on it all day like I wanted, but that's okay. We're not in any super rush or anything to get it painted. It's safe from the elements. I don't think anything is gonna flash rust. This car has been to bare metal before, and I've never had an issue with any flash rust. My shop stays pretty dry, so I think we're okay. But again, I didn't get as much sanded as I wanted to. I got most of this side sanded. The whole door is sanded. Was able to get in some of the tougher areas, but still got some more on the back. The front here, I got a little bit sanded, more than it was. And I got the front bumper here about 60, 75% sanded. We didn't do any sanding on the hood. I sanded behind the hood, down underneath, did a little more sanding on the whole back cowl area there. This side, this whole front fender was already pretty much sanded. There was a few spots here or there that I had to hit. And I'm still planning to take everything that's gray off and just get down to body feel. But I got this whole door sanded. Again, I got some of these tough areas sanded. I got the inner door jambs on both sides sanded. I got underneath the window trim there sanded. Still got to sand more on here. And I still have to sand like the very bottom of the car. There's some areas that you can't really see, but they're gonna get sanded regardless of whether you can see them or not. I did get the entire back here sanded, all except for that bottom piece that I said that I probably wouldn't sand. I think I am gonna go ahead and sand it because it won't be that bad. And that way it's basically completely sanded at this point. No sense in leaving that tiny little area when I'm sanding the whole car. But we got a little bit more sanding on the roof, nothing significant, but got a good bit done. I probably got another full day of sanding, or at least close to it, to get all of the epoxy primer off, all of the purple off, and then I'll be able to put new epoxy down. I've ordered a different epoxy a better name brand epoxy than I used the first time. And this epoxy is supposed to have a rust inhibitor in it that really encapsulates the car and keeps any rust from coming back. The only reason that I was concerned with that is you can see up here on the roof, there's an area right there, and that's the only area on the whole car that to me looks like it flash rusted underneath the epoxy. And the epoxy that I used before didn't have any kind of rust inhibitor in it. And so I want to make sure this time that that area especially is properly prepped so that there's no flash rust happening underneath our epoxy. But we'll get that prepped and it won't be a concern. But that's pretty much all we did to this car today, which again took the entire day. I did not work on the new car at all. I did look over this car, I believe yesterday or the day before. I kind of got out here with a scraper and I was scraping away. You can see some of the chips here at all the, well, not all the areas, but most of the areas where it was bubbled up. I just wanted to see if there was any rust holes. And luckily the whole top of the car, there's not a single rust hole anywhere. It's all surface rust. We're not as lucky when it comes to the side here. We do have a rust hole there, and we'll probably have to replace the metal all the way to the back corner because I see more bubbling happening there. But that's no big deal. That's an easy piece of metal to replace. And I am considering putting a wide body flare kit on this car as well at some point in the future. And so having that rust there is not really that big of a deal, since that's gonna get cut out anyway if we do that. We have another rust hole in the door, which is pretty standard on just about all of these old Mustangs. This is not as bad as most cars, and it's probably only going to be a patch about that big to fix that. So that's a good thing. I believe this is the original door for this car on this side. I don't believe that the driver door is original, mainly because there's no rust at the bottom of it. You can come over here and look. There's no rust down there. I hit it and no Bondo, no rust, no nothing. And this door does not fit very well. It is kind of crooked. It's probably a little hard to catch it on camera there, but it doesn't fit as good as it should. So I don't believe that this door is original to the car, but it definitely needs to be adjusted better. The door is actually in pretty good shape. Other than that, we have kind of the same thing going on this side. No major rust here, just all flaked off because basically what I was saying over here, when you get flash rust underneath your epoxy, over time, that's what will happen. Your paint will just pop off, and that's what happened with this car. Whoever painted it didn't properly prep it, and now you got paint bubbling everywhere where there is surface rust underneath. So I will have to take this car completely to bare metal and get all the rust treated and properly covered so that paint will stick to this car for the next paint job that it's gonna get. But like I say, we got more bubbling there from poor preparations, and kind of the same thing going on here. Not as bad toward the back, a couple of little dings or dents, but again, if we do a flare kit on this car, it's no worry. But I don't know when or if we're gonna do a flare kit. I kind of want to, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but the front fenders, I believe, are pretty much trash. as bad as I hate to say it. This fender here is not as bad as the passenger fender, but it's still pretty bad. Good amount of Bondo work was done here. Surface rust, no big deal. More body fill here. I believe there's a pretty good sized dent. And just overall, the fender just looks terrible. You can see horrible body work. But again, this is the better of the two fenders that's on this car. The other fender over here, you can see, I don't even know what they were doing with the body fill, but you've got a hole right here. You've got body fill that's cratered up pretty bad. Same thing on the side here. You got like a giant hole that it's like they body filled around it and just made it even more of a crater. It really doesn't make any sense. I don't know, maybe somebody tried to sand this car to see how many dents it had, and that was their investigation. I don't really know, but they just primed back over it. And so this fender is trash. It's not like it's a super hard to find or rare fender or anything, so it's not worth all the metal work that it would take to fix it. With that being said, being that both of the fenders are trash, if I do decide to do a flare kit, I will just order the fiberglass front fenders that already have the flares. It'll be just like those, and I won't have to do any work to them because they'll already be complete. And then all I have to do is the back. So that's probably what I'm gonna wind up doing, but we'll just have to wait and see. The reason that I'm considering flaring this car is because this is a 4-speed car. This is what I was originally looking for when I was gonna build a Mustang. This would have been the Joker car had I not found this car, which has an automatic transmission. And I wound up buying this car, sinking a ton of money into it, putting the wide body on it. However, some things that I did not do to this car was the suspension. My plan was to eventually do the suspension, but to do the suspension, I would have to pull the engine back out. If I want to have a better rear end, this has an 8-inch rear end, I'd have to swap it to a 9 or an 8.8. And I'm basically would be taking apart a car that I just spent all this time to put together. And so I think, honestly, what we're going to wind up doing is finishing this car, doing a couple of videos, and then I'm either going to sell this car or raffle this car. I'm not sure how the raffle process would work. Obviously, I would want to make sure that would be legitimate so that somebody could buy a ticket and actually win this car. No funny business. If I can't raffle it, then I'll just sell it outright. It doesn't really matter to me. Maybe you guys can chime in and tell me what you want to do, or if anybody knows a legitimate way to raffle this car to ensure that someone actually wins it and nobody cheats, let me know. But again, I think that's going to be the plan. Finish this car, sell this car, and then we're going to take the money that this car brings, how much ever it is, and we're just going to throw it right into this car. I'm already throwing money into this car, even though I said that I wasn't going to. I spent about $2,000 over this weekend on parts already. So to tell you about that, my plan is once I get the epoxy primer on this car, I'm gonna let this car sit for at least 2 weeks and let that epoxy shrink as much as possible before lightly sanding and then applying the high build primer to the car. But while that is flashing off and curing, once we get the epoxy on there, I plan to work on this car so that we can keep content for the channel and gives me something to do on the weekends. The first thing that's going to be happening with this car now that we've got the engine out is we're going to be deleting the shock towers, deleting all the suspension, the drum brakes on the front, the whole 9 yards, and we're going to install the Mustang 2 suspension kit. I've already ordered that. That's what I ordered this weekend. And so I've got the Mustang 2 suspension, the better rack and pinion. It comes with disc brakes. It does not come with a brake booster, unfortunately, which I can get. But essentially it gets rid of these shock towers, clears up a ton of space so that when you get your better engine in, you got plenty of room for whatever headers you want to run. And if I wanted to put a huge engine in this car, I would be able to. I'm probably just going to put a 5.0 in here, nothing too fancy, but I did want to get rid of the shock towers and just have a better suspension in the front. And then once the front suspension is done, then we will work on the rear. The whole rear end in this car has to come out. It's not even an 8-inch, it's like a 7.25 inch rear end, I believe. And it's not gonna work for this build, so that's gotta come out. I'm currently looking for like a Ford Explorer with a 5.0 and an 8.8 inch rear end, and I could use that as my donor vehicle to get the rear end and the 5.0 engine that I could build off of. But that's kind of the plan with this car, is gonna be to make this the car that I keep, because it's a 4-speed and it's not gonna be a themed car. Some of my subscribers probably won't like that and some will. I get about 50-50 when it comes to the Joker build. Some people love it, some people hate it. It's a really cool car in my opinion, which is why I built it. But I think on this car, we're gonna go a little bit more classic. Probably just gonna paint it some kind of a gray color, maybe with black trim. And again, it'll probably be a wide body because I do like the way the wide body looks. And that's what we're gonna do. But this is gonna take a good bit of time, and it'll give us plenty of content for the channel moving forward. And then we can finish up this car on the channel and then see if we can find it a new home. And then once we get the funds from that car, then we can really go crazy on this one. Otherwise, if this car does not sell, or I decide not to sell it, I'm still gonna build this car, just not quite as fast as I would, freeing up several grand, you know. But either way, if I wind up having 2 Mustangs, so be it. But I don't need 2. I don't plan to tag and insure 2. So we'll see what happens. But this is where we're gonna conclude the Sunday update. Hope everybody followed along for the whole video so that you could hear all the information of what's about to happen. I guess for the people that didn't, they'll just get to see what's happening in the future videos. But anyway, I may have a couple of short videos done between the week. I'm not sure, but either way, we will have another Sunday update video coming up next weekend. See y'all then.